Have you ever been in a situation where you had something important to say, but the words just wouldn't come out? Maybe it was a meeting at work where you disagreed with a decision, a family discussion where you felt overlooked, or even a social gathering where you wanted to share your opinion but felt frozen. That intense hesitation, that knot in your stomach preventing you from voicing your thoughts. This is the experience of millions of people who struggle with the fear of speaking up. It's not just shyness. It's a deep-rooted psychological phenomenon that can shape how we interact with the world. In psychology, the fear of speaking up is often linked to social anxiety, where the mere anticipation of judgment or rejection triggers a powerful emotional response. This isn't about being introverted or preferring to listen. Those are perfectly normal traits. Instead, it's about an overwhelming dread that saying the wrong thing will lead to embarrassment, criticism, or social isolation. Many people describe it as feeling like their voice doesn't matter, or that opening their mouth will invite disaster. But why does this happen? And more importantly, what does it reveal about human psychology? At its core, the fear of speaking up stems from our evolutionary wiring. Humans are social creatures, and for thousands of years, survival depended on belonging to a group. Being ostracized could mean danger or even death. Today, that ancient fear manifests as a hypersensitivity to social threats. When we consider speaking up, our brain activates the same pathways as it would for physical danger. The fight-or-flight response kicks in. Heart rate increases, palms sweat, and thoughts race with worst-case scenarios. What if they laugh at me? What if I sound stupid? What if they reject me? This fear isn't rare. Studies show that social anxiety disorder, which often includes a profound reluctance to speak in certain situations, affects a significant portion of the population. In extreme cases, it overlaps with conditions like selective mutism, where individuals, often children, but sometimes adults, become literally unable to speak in specific social contexts despite being capable elsewhere. Research indicates that nearly all cases of selective mutism co-occur with social anxiety, where silence becomes an avoidance strategy to escape the intense distress of potential scrutiny. But this fear extends far beyond clinical diagnoses. In everyday life, it's the reason many people stay quiet during debates, avoid confronting friends or colleagues, or hesitate to ask questions in class or meetings. It's tied to concepts like the spiral of silence, a theory developed by Elizabeth Noel Newman. According to this idea, people constantly scan their environment for cues about what's acceptable to say. If you perceive your opinion as minority or unpopular, the fear of isolation grows, leading you to remain silent. Over time, this silence reinforces the perception that your view is even less valid, creating a downward spiral where dissenting voices fade away. Think about real-world examples. In workplaces, employees often withhold feedback during meetings, fearing they'll be seen as disruptive or incompetent. One common scenario involves junior staff members who have valuable insights but stay mute because they worry about challenging authority. Over time, this leads to missed opportunities for innovation and personal growth. In social settings, someone might witness injustice, a friend being mistreated or a biased comment, but choose silence to avoid conflict. This mirrors the bystander effect, where individuals assume someone else will intervene, compounded by personal fear of drawing attention. Psychologists point to several root causes for this fear. Childhood experiences play a huge role. If a person grew up in an environment where expressing opinions led to criticism, dismissal, or punishment, they learn to associate speaking up with pain. Critical parents, bullying at school, or even overly competitive siblings can instill a belief that it's safer to stay quiet. Behavioral inhibition, a temperament trait present from infancy, predisposes some people to withdraw in novel or evaluative situations. Those with high behavioral inhibition are more likely to develop social anxiety and habits of silence. Another key factor is perfectionism. Many who fear speaking up hold themselves to impossibly high standards. They rehearse sentences in their head endlessly, waiting for the perfect moment or phrasing. But in reality, communication is messy and imperfect. That's what makes it human. This perfectionist mindset creates paralysis. If I can't say it flawlessly, I won't say it at all. Cognitive distortions amplify this. Catastrophizing, imagining the worst possible outcome, turns a minor misstep into a catastrophe. Mind reading assumes others are judging harshly, even without evidence. Low self-esteem compounds the issue. When you doubt your worth or intelligence, speaking up feels like exposing your flaws to the world. Imposter syndrome, common in high-achieving individuals, whispers that you're not qualified to contribute, so better to stay silent than risk being found out. In group dynamics, the presence of authority figures or perceived experts heightens this. The brain perceives them as threats to status, triggering avoidance. Now, let's delve deeper into the consequences. Staying silent might feel safe in the moment, but it exacts a heavy toll. Psychologically, suppressed emotions build up, leading to resentment, frustration, or even depression. Bottled-up thoughts can erupt in unhealthy ways: passive-aggressive behavior, sudden outbursts, or withdrawal from relationships altogether. In professional settings, the impact is profound. People who don't speak up miss promotions, as their ideas go unheard. Teams suffer from groupthink, where lack of diverse input leads to poor decisions. Historical examples abound: corporate scandals where employees saw warning signs but feared retaliation and stayed quiet. On a personal level, relationships stagnate. Unspoken needs or grievances erode intimacy. Friends drift apart because one party never shares their true feelings. Socially, silence perpetuates inequality. Marginalized groups often face amplified fear of speaking up due to historical dismissal or backlash. This creates cycles where dominant voices prevail, reinforcing the status quo. The spiral of silence explains why controversial opinions sometimes seem unanimous. Dissenters hide, making the majority appear stronger. Physiologically, chronic avoidance keeps stress levels elevated. The body remains in a low-grade alert state, contributing to anxiety disorders, sleep issues, or even physical health problems like tension headaches. Yet, there's hope. Understanding the psychology is the first step toward change. Many people who fear speaking up have successfully built assertiveness through targeted strategies. One foundational approach is exposure, gradually facing the fear in safe ways. Start small. Share an opinion in a low-stakes conversation with a trusted friend. Practice saying, "I disagree," or "I think," in front of a mirror. Over time, this desensitizes the brain's threat response. Cognitive restructuring challenges distorted thoughts. When you catch yourself catastrophizing, ask, "What's the evidence this will happen? What's the worst that could realistically occur? Have I survived similar situations before?" Reframing speaking up as an act of courage rather than risk shifts perspective. Mindfulness helps by grounding you in the present. Anxiety thrives on future what-ifs. Techniques like deep breathing interrupt that cycle. Focus on your breath or senses to stay anchored during moments of hesitation. Building self-compassion is crucial. Treat yourself with the kindness you'd offer a friend. Perfection isn't required. Vulnerability often strengthens connections. Recognize that most people are too focused on themselves to judge you harshly. Role-playing builds confidence. Practice scenarios with a therapist or supportive person. Therapy, particularly cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is highly effective for social anxiety. It teaches tools to rewire thought patterns and behaviors. Assertiveness training provides practical scripts. Learn to use I statements, "I feel," rather than accusatory language. This expresses needs without escalating conflict. Finally, celebrate small wins. Each time you speak up, no matter how minor, reinforces positive neural pathways. Over time, silence gives way to voice. In conclusion, the psychology of people afraid to speak up reveals profound insights into human vulnerability and resilience. Rooted in fear of rejection and judgment, this hesitation protects in the short term but limits growth and connection long term. By understanding its origins, evolutionary, developmental, cognitive, we empower ourselves to challenge it. Speaking up isn't about being loud or confrontational, it's about honoring your truth. It fosters authentic relationships, drives personal fulfillment, and contributes to a more open society. If you recognize yourself in this, know you're not alone, and change is possible. Start today with one small act of courage. Your voice matters more than you think.